Rating the top 10 most expensive signings in Premier League history, going from A down to F. Florian Wirtz, obviously brand new to the list. We have to start off with Harry Maguire. Now, I'm going to be fair. I like Harry Maguire. He's one of England's most successful centre-backs ever. He's got a better England legacy than John Terry and Rio Ferdinand combined. Harry Maguire isn't a Man United centre-back. If you look at Alex Ferguson, Jaap Stam, obviously Rio Ferdinand himself, Vidic, of course he's not of that calibre, but if he was partnered with a Rio Ferdinand, if the transfer strategy around Harry Maguire had been better, if there was a better midfield in front of him, if there was a better set of keepers behind him, I don't think it's as bad as people say it was. You watch him in the Europa League last season against Lyon, I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. He's not a bad footballer, Harry Maguire. Is he worth £70 million? I don't think it's the worst signing in today's market. I'm going to go in B. Gvardiol is the most expensive defender in the history of football, coming from Leipzig for £76 million. Played at left back in his first season where he won the Premier League. Got so many goals, so many assists. He banged a couple in against Fulham, really important match in his first season from left back. He's 2-footed. He scored big goals against Real Madrid in the Champions League as well. He's a very naturally gifted left back and centre back. I don't want to see him at left back anymore. He's got good pace. He's good in the air. I still think he needs to maybe figure out what he does on the ball. He gives the ball away a little bit too much for a Guardiola side. But to get the kind of value in the market for someone as good as Gvardiol is very, very hard. He could be the best centre back in the world in the next couple of years. He's moved to centre back alongside Ruben Diaz last season. A small, dim hope in a really poor and flat season last season for Man City. And ultimately, Gvardiol, he was good. He really was. Can he improve? Yes. He's still so young for a centre back. And I thought he was probably the best centre-back at the club last season. Currently, right now, it is an A transfer. These are the facts. I'm not being biased. Antony for £80 million plus. I've got this off transfer marked, so I always thought it was closer to £100 million, but maybe there's add-ons that obviously he never hit. Ultimately, Antony is one of the worst transfers of a player in any sport ever. You include baseball, basketball, rounders, NFL, NHL, whatever you want, rugby. It's one of the worst signings of all time in football, in European football, whatever context you want to give it, let alone the Premier League. He's nowhere near physical enough for the league. He's not smart enough. He's not a robust enough footballer. He doesn't want it enough. There isn't enough hunger to be a top player in the Premier League. Some players just aren't cut out to do it in the Premier League. Look at someone like Angel Di Maria, who is 100 times the player of Antony. He couldn't quite figure out the Premier League, or maybe just didn't want to. You don't always want to figure out the Premier League. I think he's much better at Betis in the Spanish league for a smaller club. I think that is Antony's level, or the Dutch league, or the Championship. His numbers are shocking, embarrassing. 5 goals, 3 assists in over 60 games for Manchester United in the Premier League. Shocking stuff. It's embarrassing, and it actually embarrasses me as a football fan that I've had to watch this guy so many times, and I'm never going to get that time back. It's a big fat F. Paul Pogba, one of the most naturally gifted midfielders I've ever seen. Now, the caveat to that is I never saw it nearly enough. I saw a lot of it when he had Vidal and Pirlo alongside him for Conte's Juventus. What a side that was. He needed someone alongside him to do the legwork, to do the hard work. That's not what you want for that kind of money. You need someone that can do everything and have the hunger. I'm going to be talking about Declan Rice in a minute. I mean, it's chalk and cheese, even though Pogba's probably got 10 times the natural ability of Declan Rice, and that's saying something. That's how good Paul Pogba was. I'm going to be fair and give it a C. Lukaku for £96 million. I should be harsher, but I feel like he scored a decent ratio of goals. I'm going to give him a C. I don't think he was obviously anywhere near good enough. Moises Caicedo, this is tough because Chelsea haven't really achieved anything in the last few years except a Conference League. If you're spending £200+ million on 2 players that I'm going to include in this video, one of them being Caicedo, and you still haven't really won the Premier League, it hasn't taken you to a level above Arsenal, above Man City, of course, Liverpool as well. That is embarrassing. But then Caicedo was one of the best midfielders in the Premier League last season. His ball winning ability is fantastic. I think he's a bit of a metronome on the ball in midfield for Chelsea. I think he's a bit more mature than Enzo with what he's trying to do on the ball. Him and Lavia for very short amounts of time were fantastic. I'm going to put him in the B category. I think he could go on to be an A signing. Declan Rice, £100 million. Obviously, he's come close to winning the Premier League 2 or 3 times now. Ultimately, he's a fantastic leader. He's great on the ball. He's great off the ball. He needs to score a few more goals. but you do feel that Declan Rice has been everything that Arsenal needed him to be. He's made them very, very competitive. Big wins against Man City last season. Big wins against Real Madrid, of course, in the Champions League, where Rice was a massive part of that with 2 huge free kicks. I think for the money, for an England player as well, the England tax, the pressure of an England player moving to Arsenal for that much money, getting booed and jeered by West Ham fans, it was a tough transfer, and ultimately he's gone there, settled in, and he's an absolute leader. He's the first name on the team sheet alongside Saka if fit, and ultimately he has been a very, very good signing. It is an A. Jack Grealish, £100 million. This is tricky. I think Jack Grealish is one of those naturally gifted footballers of a generation. Of course, he's not a left winger. In midfield last season, he wasn't quite trusted, wasn't quite given the run time to be successful in midfield either. It's hard to pivot a player when they're in their late 20s at Man City's level. It's very, very difficult. He won the treble, and I keep bringing this up, and people slag me off for bringing up sort of silverware for player debates, which I don't really get, because that's the point of playing football, is to win silverware at the highest level. And he was instrumental in the treble winning season. He gave City so much balance, so much control on the left-hand side. It felt like you were packing the midfield as high up on the high left side of the pitch, because every time you gave the ball to Grealish, he wouldn't lose it. He'd link up, played, find a man. You're just dominating a wider array of the pitch. And that was down to Jack Grealish, with a few important goals as well, one against Arsenal on the title running. Jack Grealish won a treble. He was a huge, huge part of it in the business end of the season. We talk about Paul Scholes, talk about Nicky Butt in this Man United side. We talk about the Gary Nevilles of the world. They're lauded for winning a treble. And Jack Grealish did exactly the same thing, and he gets absolutely sagged off. And that's because he hasn't hit the heights 100%, but he was a big, big part of it. And then he went on to retain the Premier League as well. He's won 3 Premier Leagues in a row. I mean, he hasn't hit the ground running in terms of numbers, but dare I say it, he's never been a numbers guy. They've been really poor last season, don't get me wrong. A few injuries, but I have to be balanced and say that he's been a B signing. If anything, a B+. Enzo Fernandez has to be an F. Absolutely atrocious footballer. I don't think he makes Chelsea better. I actually think when Lavia's back, I think you should play Cole Palmer. I think it should be Caicedo and Lavia all in a 3 with wingers either side. I don't fancy Cole Palmer as a winger. I don't think Enzo Fernandez makes Chelsea's best 11. He's a £100 million plus player. Absolutely embarrassing. I don't think he's good going forward. I think he's okay on the ball, of course. He's got some technical quality. £100 million, and I can't really give you anything of note that he's done, to be majorly honest with you. I have to give him an F. Florian Wirtz, at the moment, I think it's an A transfer. I do, because I think he's one of the best players in world football, joining the side that just won the Premier League. The pressure that people put on Jack Grealish has to be applied to Florian Wirtz, and I think he will hit those numbers. I think he'll be set up to be a superstar in the Premier League. I think he'll make a lot of rival fans very, very unhappy. I think he's outrageously good as a footballer. A lot of pressure, with the potential when he hits add-ons to be the most expensive signings in the history of the Premier League. Right now, it's an A. Do you agree? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you subscribe if you made it this far. I'll see you very, very soon.